And a good day, and welcome to another edition of Catchin' KARP Outdoors, the podcast that honors Minnesota's great outdoors. And today, while we're in the right in the thick of winter here in Minnesota, we're going to talk about a winter sport, snowmobiling, and we're going to talk mainly local stuff, but a lot of this stuff will matter for everybody around the state. Everybody around the state has the same types of topics, as we're going to talk with Bill Arndt of the Crow River SnoPros. And we're going to talk outdoors, as we got Bill Arndt of the Crow River SnoPros and a few other snowmobile groups, and a longtime instructor joining us here, talking about some snowmobile stuff and some just some winter fun in general. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Been a long time. You know, sometimes, you know, for those longtime listeners, they remember you and I did a weekly show for the longest time. But then towards the end, we didn't have any snow to talk about. So this is kind of a weird year where there actually is a little bit of snow to talk about.
A little bit of snow out there, but it's not very much. It wears through real fast. We've done a little grooming on the trails. The conditioning is there. The trails are marked. They're ready for riding, but I don't think you want to take a sled out on them. Well,
maybe we'll just start there. Talk about because I have seen a few out, and you see some riding in the ditches and all that. So how has this winter season been going overall? First around here, and then around the state in general.
Well, we've lost a couple people in the state by going on thin ice, which is a no-no. You don't know. For instance, I had a Lake Alley, had an open spot in the middle here a couple weeks ago yet. Why? You go out at night, you cannot see them spots. The river, it's just about impossible to ride. Some guys are riding it with four-wheelers, and it's all rock. The water's down so low. The road ditches are always very dangerous to ride in because of telephone pedestals, electric pedestals, guide wires, and stuff like that. Culverts that go underneath road approaches. All these are dangerous signs to snowmobiling, and that's what we really want to talk about. It's the safety part of snowmobiling. It's fun. I've been having fun for well over 50 years. Now I'm older. It isn't quite as much fun. It's work to get on the sled, and I still do enjoy it. I go out and feed my animals. I have quite a herd of deer. I think I was out yesterday, and I had 15 deer in my tree lots along the river, and it was interesting to see them. They're pretty used to me even coming there. They didn't run. They just walked away into the cattails. And so I still enjoy it in that way of getting out, going through the back country, and just seeing what's out there.
You mentioned safety, so we'll jump over there here because Snowmobile Safety Week is next week, so it's a nice time to get to think about safety while you're on a sled. And we'll start off on the ice stuff because, as you mentioned, there's open water all over the place. And while we haven't maybe heard as much this year as in other years from that part of things, it's still a factor that folks need to be wary of.
That's right. We have aeration lakes. You got Lake Marion, Swan Lake, Winsted Lake, Star Lake. All these lakes are aerated. They are well marked. Just obey the markings. It's the same thing as when you're driving down the trail. Obey the trail signs. If you veer off that trail that is marked and is deemed safe to ride, you're taking your life in your hands. I mean, numerous people have been injured, like taken off a trail or seeing a track going off someplace and run into drainage ditches. That's a big thing around here in Renville County. There's so many drainage ditches. You don't see them at night. And a lot of riding is still done at night, and people can go out and enjoy going out. We used to do it, go out for supper. Take the snowmobile, go out for supper, you know, the old bonfire, Cedar Mills, Lake Marion, Brown. We went to all these places, and our trails connect to all of them. And that's why we're really emphasizing stay on the trails. Trespassing is our number one violation in snowmobiling. There's people that don't want you on their property. Well, that's their right. They own it. And we don't go any place where we don't get permission to.
Yeah.
And the club goes out and gets permission from December 1 to April 1 to make a safe riding trail for individuals. McLeod County has about 165 miles of safe riding trails when there's snow.
Now we know we should mention for those listening in here, we're going to be talking about the McLeod County trails mainly here, but for those listening in Renville County or in Meeker County or in Carver County, there's somebody like you, some group like yours that's doing the same stuff.
Clubs statewide doing the same things. They spend a lot of money in grooming these trails, making them safe. For instance, we have 2 trails that run through our county that are not state trails, but are state corridor trails. You can start off at the Iowa border and go to International Falls on some of these trails. There's one in the eastern part of the county and one in the western part of the county that they hook from one trail association groups, like ours hooks to Wright County, and it hooks to Meeker County trail system. And these trails branch off and get you across the Mississippi River and everything else.
So do you guys work together? Well, you mentioned Wright and Meeker. Do you work together on those particular areas, or how closely do you work with other groups around the state like yours?
Well, it's all set up through the state organization. There's a trail committee on the state organization. How can we get through here? And we have agreed with Wright County to hook up with their trail coming in through the east of Glanco and hooking up to Wright County. We got the Loose Line Trail, of course, goes through here. We hook up to the Candio High Trail system out in Cosmos. Our groomer goes to Cosmos. We've got the contract to groom the Loose Line from Carver County line to Cosmos. So this is part of our duties beside our regular trails.
Sure. Now, as far as numbers in the group, I know if there is a silver lining with all this pandemic, I know numbers were up as far as anglers this year. Numbers were up as far as hunters this year. How about winter sports, snowmobiling? Are more people getting out and about? Have you heard reports of this maybe a little bit more popular this year?
Well, you just watch here on Highway 15. We're sitting here at the station, and we look out there, and you don't see the number of sleds going north, as there's more fish houses going north than there is sleds going. Years ago, it used to be every third car was pulling a trailer or pickup pulling a snowmobile. You don't see that. There's less numbers. The machines are more expensive. It's down in that way, and we've had a couple bad years where there hadn't been much snow. I did have a couple students had brand new sleds to ride for the testing this year. They didn't even have a license on them yet. They were still just out of the box.
Fresh out of the box.
And gosh, I'd like to got on them myself. They were real nice sleds.
The instructor should have said, you know what, maybe I should try this out for you. Make sure it works first.
Well, the only thing we could do with them sleds is put a safety toggle on it, and so the student couldn't overspeed themselves. But these students were real adults about it. My students this year I gave them the opportunity to kind of do an online snowmobile class. Give them the books. You got questions, you ask me. We will go through some of the stuff, and mainly I spent more time outside, and we've had some very nice weather for doing outside training than sitting in the classroom. It's still knowing your sled, knowing rules, knowing how to sit on a sled, how to look for the safety items on the sleds.
Mm-hmm.
Hand signals, to me, is very important. And then taking directions. That's one of my old gimmicks. If I tell a student, you go down to the first intersection and come back the second right-hand turn. And this is one reason for this here. If you're out in the trail someplace and kind of lost, you ask somebody, how do I get back to Hutchinson? Well, you go up here to the nearest intersection, taking that road ditch, you'll go back to Hutch.
Sure.
But if they don't listen, instead of going right, they went left. Well, who knows where they end up?
You mentioned the students. I know it's your classes are usually around Thanksgiving, give or take a few weeks.
Right.
So they're about. So that was kind of right in the middle of when this pandemic was raging here in Minnesota. So did you have to do much adjusting, or how did you have to adjust your classes, your safety classes this year for the pandemic?
The main thing, we did not have an indoor class. We did most everything on the outside. The students have done the same thing they're doing with this hybrid learning at school. They had the material. You answer the questions on the material. You study the book over and make sure it's all done. When we get together, I'll look if they went through the whole book. And I kind of let it up to the parents. If you want this young person to ride with you, he has to have a certificate. And if you get stopped without the certificate, it's a fine. And the parents pay the fine. So the parents are very good on it. They called me and they waited for a time we could get together on outdoor. And we never had more than 6 students at a time on the outdoor courses. And they spread it out pretty good. And I did one evening. We did that on the lake. These students had taken the online course, and I was a little bit upset with that. They had no knowledge of the hand signals. And to me, hand signals, when you're riding a sled, that's the only way you can talk to the one behind you or the one in front of you. You've got to give them the right, left. It's just like a person putting the turn signals on when you turn on the highway.
Yeah.
And then the knowledge of crossing highways is so important to me, because you see so many cars today, white snow, white roads, and no lights on. And it's very hard to pick that up when you're down low like you are.
Yeah. One thing that we've talked about over the years, I know there's always been different shows. We talk about you going to different, I know Waconia's had one before. You guys usually have one late winter, early spring. There's other ones in the cities. Are those still going on, or have those kind of been pushed off a little bit here?
Most of all the big gatherings have pushed off. Like, you couldn't rent the fairgrounds where we always had the show. So this year it's been canceled. We didn't have a Christmas party. We didn't have a trail setup get-together, because the Legion in Silver Lake, where we have our meetings right now, has been closed. And it just, you just, okay, let's obey the rules and not gather if we don't have to gather. And this is serious. Wife says you kind of violate so many times because you're going here and you're going there, but as you noticed, Joe, I did put the mask on. I try to protect that way, and I do wash my hands quite a bit more than I used to.
Everybody's doing a little part.
We have to, because we lost the very nice lady in our bus group because of COVID, and that really struck home. All at once she was gone.
Well, let's end the conversation on a good note here, because while a lot of stuff isn't going on, people still can ride out there. So whether it's in Minnesota or the Dakotas or Montana or where have you heard that there's good riding, that if folks really want to, hey, I want to go, I want to get out and enjoy this winter, where have you heard that's the best right now?
Well, of course, the mountains are always the best. There's pretty good riding up north. There's snow up there. Lakes are pretty safe up there. I was talking to my brother-in-law on Leech Lake and they're running these great big rigs out on the lake, so the lake is pretty safe to ride on. Trails are, the groomers are out. If they can make it, they are out. Our groomers made the rounds of the trails. They went to Cosmos the other day just to level them off and just pack the snow down that is there, but this warm weather really is hard on it. But know where you're going. That's the thing of it. If you got to cross a lake, make sure that it's safe to cross the lake.
Know what's there.
I mean, you never know. Ice is never safe. Let's put it that way. Ice is never safe. And if there's a trail set up across the lake, okay, follow that. Don't go weird and off. Watch your speed. These new sleds are so capable of high-speed riding. Gosh, you hit a culvert, you hit a pedestal in a road ditch, you hit a guide wire. It's really serious. And you've got no protection. It's not like a car where you got seat belts and everything on the side. I try to teach this to the kids. You're sitting out there 6 inches above the ground. You got no protection from the side, no protection from the top, bottom, any place. You're the target out there.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming in. If folks have any questions, there's if they're in McLeod County, I'm sure your group would love to talk with them. And
we encourage. Yeah. If you're a snowmobile family, join a club that helps the whole situation. We need help to keep trails set up and stuff like that. It's just and we have a good time at it. The membership is still only $20 for a family membership. On an average year, we have a pork chop feed. In the summer, for all landowners, we have a trail setup party. We have a Christmas party. Right there's your $20 is all good, and you're still enjoying comradeship with other snowmobilers. There
you go. Hey, thanks for coming in, Bill. Well, maybe if we get a big old snow again, maybe have to have you come in and chat again sometime.
Let's just hope it's not a Super Bowl blizzard. I was always thinking of this. We even brought people up here to KDUZ to keep it running. Super Bowl blizzard, 1975.
I remember having there was one time you and I talked about memories, and that was one thing you mentioned of. And
sticks in my mind because we did a lot of work that 24 hours, 48 hours.
It'd be interesting, but it'd be one heck of a story if I had to call you and say, "Hey, Bill, can you bring me into work today?"
I don't know if I'd do it, but I'd get somebody to do it. So.
All right. Hey, thanks for coming in, Bill.
Yes, thank you.
And again, thank you, Bill, for coming on the program here today. And like we mentioned, some of these information we were mentioning more locally, more in the Hutchinson area for the Crow River SnoPros and here, but there's stuff going on all around the state here. So get out and enjoy some of those great outdoors we have for you. Enjoy some, hopefully some good snowmobile riding coming up. Hey, that wraps it up for me here today. Have yourself a very good rest of the day. We'll talk to you next time here on Catchin' KARP Outdoors. Don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors, and always keep that line in the water.
Catchin' KARP Outdoors has been a presentation of KDUZ, KARP, KGLB Radio, and the Ingstad, Minnesota Radio Network. Check out all our past episodes on YouTube.